Hello, my name is Alyssa, and I'm here to share with you some of the histories I've learned as I've been traveling the world. Today, I want to specifically focus on the legend of Kalo. Kalo is a creation story to the ancient Hawaiians and the modern Hawaiians today. First off, aloha. Aloha means hello and goodbye in Hawaii. If you don't know where Hawaii is, it's a string of islands in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. It's kind of in between Mexico, the United States, like in the middle on that equator, all and Japan, just in the middle of all that. Now, first off, what is a creation story? Creation story is an explanation as to why people or a society can exist. For example, Adam and Eve were the first people in the Bible. So with the Western society mostly being Christian, you will hear a lot about how God created the earth, and then you'll hear a lot about how he created Adam and Eve, and they were the first people. But if you're more of a science person, you're probably more familiar with the Big Bang Theory. So, where a whole lot of things happened in space, and eventually the world was created or formed, and then later people were formed through evolution. These are creation stories. Now, just some background. In Hawaii, there are many different gods, and today we're going to be talking about a couple. For example, you will see the hook in the middle. That is Maui. Maui is very significant to all of Polynesia. And you'll see some other people up here too. We today are going to be talking about Kalo and his grandparents who were gods. Now, first off, kalo is the Hawaiian word for taro or taro. So, if you don't know what a taro is, it's similar to a purple potato. You see all that leafy green stuff up top. Well, underneath is the part that you eat, the root. And you always cook it, or it's going to cause your throat to itch a whole lot. Scientists believe that this taro formed and was original in places like Asia, but it also is confusing because they found similar traces to its origin in Latin America. So it's kind of from all over the place. Now, the origin of the kalo in Hawaii is very different than what it has been for scientists for years. Through chants or olis, you can find out that Wakea, a sky father, and Papakahanamoku, Mother Earth, or Papa for short, fell in love, formed a relationship, and conceived a child. Their child was Ho'ohokukalani. Now, Ho'ohokukalani was very special because she too fell in love, as she matured, fell in love, conceived a child. Now, this child at the beginning was not able to live past the womb. So this child was born a stillborn. She still named her child Haloa Nakalauka Palini, Haloa for short. Now, because this child was born stillborn, you could tell or you can imagine that this child probably didn't look like a baby coming home from the hospital. This baby probably looked sick. This baby probably looked a little worn out and smaller than your average child being born. Because of that, Ho'ohokukalani's family or her ancestors, her kupuna, whispered in her ear, saying, like, oh, your baby looks like a root. So something that belongs in the ground. So she wrapped up her baby and took care of her baby as best she could before she laid him down in the ground. She wrapped him up with kapa, which is a blanket made out of natural resources, made out of tree bark that has been mashed together. So once she had laid him down in the ground, she wailed and she cried. She chanted at his grave for peace. She was so caught up in her grief that her tears turned into rain and her wailing turned into the wind. And with a combination of all of that, her baby's grave sprouted up and became the very first kalo, the very first taro in Hawaii. Eventually, Ho'ohokukalani ended up conceiving another child. This time, the child was born healthy, strong, and a good baby boy. This baby boy was named Aloha, which means eternal breath, to watch over his little brother, or his big brother, who was in the ground. Now, as these brothers grew, one a plant and one a man, they took care of each other. You'll notice that the baby boy, he was born in the, or not born, he was buried in the ground, and the other baby boy was living on the ground. So in order to take care of each other, Haloa, the second born, took care of the land, and Haloa, the firstborn, provided nutrients for the people, the man, his little brother, to survive. Now, if you think about the significance of how that translates to nowadays, Hawaiians now believe that it's extremely important to take care of the land and their elders because that's where they come from, because they come from the ancient lands. You'll also notice, something kind of cool about the Kalo is that a piece of the Kalo, in order to make a new one, is called the oha. You take off this oha of the original or of a full-grown taro, and you place it in either wet or dry ground to let it grow. Now, once that oha has grown, it becomes another full taro, and you repeat the process, continuing through and through. Now, the oha is the root word for ohana. So you'll notice that every single time you think of your family, you're also thinking of the taro. You're thinking of the original place where the original Hawaiian came from. This is just so fascinating to me. I love that we are able to learn about our cultures and other people's cultures and our heritage all at the same time. I'm so grateful you guys joined me today. Aloha. I hope I get to see you again. Bye-bye.